search for the bull. The fool sees a poor man. She knows something is wrong, but she doesn't know how to fix it. Greed and fear, good and bad entangle her. She only hears the locusts churring through the night. So, this morning, Sydney and I went down to that little bagel shop on the corner for breakfast. And we had those cute little bagels with lox and cream cheese and lattes. And we sat in the patio. It's so cute there. And we talked about how broke we are and how Sydney needs to get a job. And we talked about what she should wear to an interview, all that stuff. And then finally I said, you know, there is something I have been really meaning to talk to you about. There's a man living on the side of our house in your boxes. You know, the cardboard boxes you had all your stuff in when you first moved in. Well, there's someone living in them. So we've got to get rid of the boxes, recycle them, whatever. It's just there's all this garbage and empty bottles and pee all over the place, and it's really disgusting. And so anyway, tomorrow's recycling, and I was gonna move them, but I just wanted to make sure that was okay with you. And she said, of course, move them. And then I said, you know, I've been having a really hard time about all this because there are just all these different voices rattling around inside my head, like my friend George, who just goes to these Marxist meetings all the time, and my Aunt Wendy, who lives down south in a house that you and I would call a plantation. It's just really confusing.
There is a man living on the side of your house, and you did not call the police. Tracy, he could be a murderer. Now, I don't know what you're thinking, honey, but you just listen to your Aunt Wendy. What right does he have to come up your steps and do God knows what? But he is violating your privacy, and you're not doing a thing about it. Now, there are shelters and food banks for people like that. These people, they come through the system, and we try to help them, but they don't want our help. Now, I don't know if his parents didn't raise him right or what, but to sink so low as to live in a box on the side of someone else's house? I mean, he's choosing to not take care of himself. I don't see why we should have to take care of him. Now, he could get himself a shower and get a job at McDonald's. McDonald's is hiring all the time, and he could just, I cannot believe you would be so bourgeois as to think of forcing him to move. Are you listening to me? It's your old friend George here, and I'm telling you, shelters are like, you can die from TB in a shelter. And besides, there aren't even half enough beds in all the shelters in the Bay Area for all the homeless. We have got to get City Hall moving. That's what has to be done. They take people's shopping carts. Some people live in those shopping carts, sleep in them, and the police confiscate them. I can't even think about this right now. My mind is on the war stuff. Who could think about anything else these days? But it's all the same pile of crap. Look, I am sorry that all those people had to die in the WTC. I really am sorry about that, but the bottom line is these large corporations should not exist. The WTO should not exist. The IMF, World Bank, NAFTA, they are agents of exploitation. They're the ones who are causing more and more people to be homeless, forcing them to live in boxes on the side of your house. But, George, I just don't really feel safe having someone live on the side of my house, especially a man. I mean, maybe he just lost his job, or maybe he doesn't speak English, or maybe he had a terrible childhood, but I still have to keep my boundaries. I do worry about the homeless problem, and I wish things were better for them. But there is a major difference between us, and I have to honor my feelings. Discovering the footprints. The fool turns her back on the poor man, but wants to do something to help. She considers going where the poor live. These footprints can no more be hidden than one's nose. So this morning was recycling, and I picked up the boxes and I put them at the curbside. And then I picked up his things, which were there, and I piled them up at the bottom of the steps. I didn't want to be disrespectful. And anyway, now they're gone, and I feel a lot better. Thank God you did that. I cannot believe you even touched that stuff. You did what? You didn't even talk to the guy. You just picked up his only home and you threw it away. Oh, now it's out of my yard. Now it's no longer my responsibility. Great. What a brilliant solution. Well, George, I really feel that the universe will take care of him. You are so low. You have now become a part of the dehumanization that goes on all over this country. If it's not the cops, it's some damn little gentrified bourgeois homeowner who can't stand to have a little piss in her yard. People are crushed by the system every day. And you played the game perfectly. You treated him like some goddamn animal, and then you went back into your little walled-up house. Do you feel comfy now? Look, George, I am sorry for the suffering he has to go through, but I really don't think it's my responsibility. Here is what you are going to do. You are going to buy yourself a gate and put it up at the bottom of your steps. Now, if you don't have enough money, I will help you pay for it. Oh, maybe we could get one of those real pretty wrought iron kind with the little ivy designs in it. And then you get yourself a key and you lock it. Now, Tracy, I know you are a very considerate person and you don't want to be mean to anybody, but it really is disgusting letting him live like that on the side of your house. You did him a favor. Well, and it did occur to me that by not moving the boxes, I would have been enabling him to not take care of himself. So now he can move back out on the streets again. Now he can get corralled back into the Tenderloin. Have you ever been to the Tenderloin, Tracy? Do you have any idea what it's like down there?
I go to the Tenderloin, George. I work in a soup kitchen. I see the suffering. I'm not blind.
Oh, right. The little sisters of pity passing out blankets and food. That is such liberal crap, Tracy.
What if you didn't have any money? Would you like it if someone touched your stuff? Why don't you spend one whole day on the streets of the Tenderloin and just see what it feels like? Just see what it damn well feels like. Perceiving the bull, the fool walks along the streets. She feels pity for those who live there. Here, no bull can hide. I go there on Sundays. Well, one Sunday a month. I drive down to the Tenderloin where there is this really wonderful little church, and I help give out food to the homeless people who live there, and it really makes me feel like I am doing something. Some of the people can be a little problematic, but most of them are really very sweet.
Well, aren't you the Good Samaritan, standing there with your little soup ladle? And then you go back to your comfy little bed in your comfy little house, and you just block it all out.
That is not true. I really feel for the people who live there.
I bet you do. But how does it feel walking through the neighborhood when you don't have your little pot of soup to hide behind? How do you like it then, huh?
Well, actually, I don't like walking through the neighborhood very much. I don't feel safe. Last Sunday, they usually save some parking spots in front of the church for the volunteers, but last Sunday, someone else had taken all of them, and I had to park 5 blocks away. And, I mean, there were people sleeping right there on the concrete sidewalk in the middle of the day. And you had to step over them. And there was just all this garbage and empty bottles. It was just so...
I cannot believe you got out of your car and walked
for 5 blocks in that filthy neighborhood. Tracy, what are you thinking? You could have been murdered. You know, there are people smoking drugs on the streets. I know, Aunt Wendy. There are crack addicts on the streets. I could see them sitting right there up against the sides of the buildings. They had these little pipes. I could see the rocks in their pipes. And then there was this woman, and oh my God, she was just about my age, and she was pulling down her pants to pee on the side of a building. There are bathrooms in the church and in the coffee shop on the corner. I mean, they always let me use them. What is their problem? I do not belong here. And plus, they see me as a target. Someone is going to ask me for money. I just know it. And I do not want the bad karma of enabling someone else's habit. And so I always have to assess, where is the money going? You know, if it's going to go for food or something. Oh, honey, don't be so naive. They always buy alcohol and drugs. These people are not like us, Tracy. They have no gratitude. I know, but last Sunday, there was this guy. He said his name was Smitty, And he asked me for some money, which I was expecting, and so I gave him 35 cents, and I said it was all that I had. And he looked at me and he said, "Girl, you just gave me your last 35 cents. Thank you. I can tell by looking in your eyes that you are a good person. So if you ever need anything, or if anybody ever gives you any trouble, you just come looking for me. My name's Smitty. I'll take care of it." That was a really nice thing to say. It made me feel kind of safe. And it wasn't really my last bit of money, but you know. And anyway, it kind of got me thinking about the guy on the side of my house. It's true. I didn't know anything about him. But I am sure that he's not like Smitty. I mean, I meet a lot of people down at the soup kitchen, and believe me, Smitty is the exception. So I got rid of the boxes. They're gone. It's done. And that is a good thing, because it was really not okay for him to be living like that on the side of my house. Catching the bull. The fool talks with a woman who sweeps the streets. Her mind is caught in a terrific struggle. Then I saw this lady. She was sweeping the streets. All she had with her was a sleeping bag and some cardboard boxes up against the side of a building. And she was sweeping the streets. And I mean, the streets are dirty. They are very dirty, and they're going to be dirty again. Soon. Oh, how pathetic. She was sweeping the streets? I mean, what is the use? She could be cleaning people's houses and getting paid for it. She's probably a little feeble-minded. A lot of these people are, you know. Actually, I thought it was kind of nice. I wanted to talk to her, but it felt awkward. I mean, I have a home and she doesn't, and besides, I know how these people don't like to talk to anybody. They must feel so ashamed. But I decided to do it anyway. I went up to her and I said, "Hi, I work in the little church in the soup kitchen on the corner." And she didn't say anything. And so then I said, does someone pay you to sweep the streets? And she looked at me and she said, "This is my home. I like to keep my home clean. So now I'm keeping it clean." To me, it was just some cardboard boxes up against the side of a building. But to her, it was home. And she liked to keep her home clean. Kind of like how I like to keep my kitchen floors clean. And it kind of made me wonder if I was homeless, would I sweep the streets? It was such a simple thing. This was her home. And this was how she cared for her home. And anyway, it kind of made me think that maybe we're not so different. And then there was that guy, that guy down at the soup kitchen who said he'd been working with a group of people who lived in the Tenderloin and called themselves the Faithful Fools. Well, I thought it was a really funny name, so I asked him, what do they do? And he said, oh, well, they're a street ministry. And I said, oh,